What if the most important people in your life haven't been born yet? What if the greatest impact you'll ever make won't be felt for 100 years? And what if the future is not something that happens to us, but something we're quietly building every time we speak, love, choose, or create? This is the question few dare to ask. What do we owe to the future, to the millions of people who will inherit the world we're shaping right now? The invisible crowd. Most of us live surrounded by the present, the people we know, the problems right in front of us, the deadlines that end next week, the decisions that matter only today. But the truth is far larger. You are standing in a long line of humanity, a chain of generations stretching thousands of years behind you and thousands more ahead. Behind you, people who invented language, built cities, discovered medicine, created art, and survived wars you will never face. Ahead of you, people whose names you'll never know, whose faces you'll never see, whose lives will be shaped by decisions you will never witness. They are not here yet, but they are real as you are now. We live because of the sacrifices of those who came before us. The question is whether we will extend that same gift to those who come after. Why the future feels distant. It's strange. We can feel empathy for strangers across the world, yet feel almost nothing for the people of the future. Why? Because the future is silent. It doesn't speak. It doesn't complain. It doesn't beg or demand. And yet, the future is fragile, more fragile than the present. It can be destroyed long before it arrives. Civilizations collapse when they stop thinking ahead, when they forget that time keeps going even after they're gone. We plant seeds knowing we will never sit in the shade. We build foundations for buildings we'll never enter. We write stories for children we'll never meet. Why? Because somewhere deep within us, we know a simple truth. A life lived only for ourselves is too small. The long echo of a single life. Every life is a ripple. Every action travels farther than we can see. Think of a teacher who inspires a child. That child grows up and inspires another. And that influence spreads across decades, across continents, across generations. Or imagine a scientist who writes a paper that leads to an invention, that leads to a discovery, that leads to a medicine, saving millions of people not yet born. Most of the good we do in life we'll never see. But that doesn't make it any less real, because the future keeps the receipts, even when the present forgets. The responsibility of power. We like to believe we are small, that our lives don't matter, that the world is too big, too complex, too broken. But the reality is the opposite. For the first time in human history, ordinary people have extraordinary power. A message we send online can reach millions. A decision to recycle or waste shapes the planet. The energy we choose to use changes the climate. The leaders we vote for determine the century. We control nuclear weapons that can erase the future in minutes. We build technologies that can transform it in decades. We influence global systems that will shape it for centuries. We are no longer powerless. And with power comes responsibility. Each generation inherits the world not as a gift, but as a test. The moral question we can't avoid. So what do we owe to the future? Do we owe them clean air, safe oceans, a stable climate, working institutions, ethical technology, education, peace? Or do we owe them something deeper, something more human? Do we owe them hope? Do we owe them meaning? Do we owe them the right to dream instead of merely survive? Every generation decides whether the next one thrives or suffers. The people of the future can't vote, they can't protest, they can't defend themselves. So we speak for them. We act for them. We owe them the world they deserve. The legacy of decisions we don't notice. It's easy to imagine legacy as something dramatic, a great invention, a war won, a monument built. But legacy is often built from small, invisible choices. The parent who teaches their child kindness may create a gentler world. The inventor who chooses safety over profit may prevent disaster decades later. The artist who tells the truth may inspire generations to question lies. The young person who educates themselves today may become the leader the future desperately needs. Greatness is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, patient, and cumulative. We owe the future not just our courage, but our wisdom. The dangers we pass down. There are disasters the future might inherit if we do nothing. The slow erosion of the planet, the rise of unchecked technology, the shrinking of democracy, the spread of disinformation, the normalization of violence, the loss of empathy, the turning of progress into a weapon. Every age faces its crisis. Ours is whether we will pass down a world that is livable or one they must fight to rebuild. We stand at a hinge of history. The decisions we make now may reverberate for millennia. We are not the first to inherit the world, but we might be the last who can still change its course. The hope we cultivate. What do we owe the future besides survival? We owe them possibility. We owe them imagination. We owe them beauty, stories, and mysteries. We owe them room to grow, room to change, room to be more than we were. Hope is not naive. Hope is generational. It is passed down like a torch from one set of hands to the next. The future is not saved by certainty but by commitment. A commitment to try, even when we don't see the results. Some of the greatest acts of humanity were done by people who never knew whether they succeeded. They planted trees knowing they would never taste the fruit. Why? Because they believed in someone they would never meet. The silent balance, rights and responsibilities. We often talk about the rights we deserve today. The right to freedom, the right to safety, the right to happiness. But we talk far less about responsibilities, especially the responsibilities we hold to future generations. We owe them more than a functioning planet. We owe them a functioning conscience. Every generation inherits not just the earth, but the moral character of the people who came before. If we refuse to think long-term, the future becomes a casualty of our short-term comfort. If we think boldly, the future becomes a masterpiece of our long-term vision. The future is not a place, it is a trust, and we are its temporary guardians. The future speaks if we listen. Imagine for a moment that the people of the future could speak to you. What would they say? Maybe they'd say, "Thank you for caring when you didn't have to." Or maybe they'd say, "Why didn't you?" Would they ask why we waited to change until it was too late? Would they thank us for preserving the forests, oceans, and skies they now call home? Would they wonder why we built technologies faster than we built ethics? Would they admire our courage or fear our negligence? We can't know, but we can imagine. And imagination is where responsibility begins. What we leave behind. Ultimately, the question is not abstract. It is personal. What will your life leave behind? Not in money, not in fame, not in achievements, but in influence, in the people you strengthen, in the world you help shape. Your legacy is not what you take with you. It's what you give away. Ideas, kindness, effort, sacrifice. You are an ancestor of the future. One day you will be part of their history. The question is, will you be a warning or a guiding light? A future worthy of hope. So what do we owe to the future? We owe them our attention, our imagination, our courage, our responsibility, our compassion, our wisdom, our effort, even when the results may never be seen. Because the greatest gift we can offer is not a perfect world, but a world worth improving, a world stable enough to grow, a world safe enough to dream, a world where they can become more than we could ever imagine. The future is watching, from behind a veil of time. And one day, they will live in the world we are shaping this very moment. The question that remains is simple. What will we choose to give them? We are not just living in the world. we are building one. Piece by piece, choice by choice, generation by generation. The future is not distant. It begins right now, in the decisions we make without realizing their power. And whether we know it or not, whether we choose it or not, we are the ancestors of every tomorrow. So ask yourself, what do you owe to the future, and what future will you create? Subscribe Timeless Questions channel for more thought-provoking stories about philosophy, history, and the unseen forces shaping our world.